Hey guys, this is Christine from Sugar Pepper Press, and today I have for you a cover. We're going to make a hard bound or hard book cover, and this actually is to go on a journal that I have created some devotional pages for. And I have tried to record this like 743 times. So here's 740, whatever number I just said, 744. And we're just going to go. We're just going to do it. I'm not going to stop again. There has been so many interruptions the last few weeks. I started trying to record this a couple of weeks ago. So here we go. I am going to have the pieces for the actual cover in the Freebie Cupboard for you. So you, when you watch this, are welcome to go there and download those and make a cover along with me. And then you can use that kind of as a base for future covers if you want. I will put all the different sizes in there so that you can make whatever size you want. I'm going to be making a 1.5-inch spine today, and that's going to be for the 3 signatures that I have here. So you will get the guides for the pieces that you need, including the hardcover pieces. And then you will get the cover, and it'll look like this. And then the inside pieces of the cover they look like this. Okay, and so let's get started. The pieces for the actual cover, like that, are cover options. Here are some of those I'll show you. See, I've got so many pieces going on here from the 100 times that I've printed this. This is one of the cover options that you will get if you purchase the kit. Here's another one, and another one, and another one. So you get 4 different cover options if you purchase the kit. These will go on the front of your cover, but the cover base pieces, those are going to be in the Freebie Cupboard for you to download whenever you watch this. So let's get started. So some of this has already been done because I have created this 700 and whatever number of times. But you will need some thread and a needle and an awl. This is from a bookbinding kit that I got on Amazon. So if you have something to poke, something to thread, and something to use for thread, then you can just use whatever you have at home. So I'm going to actually go in and my desk is just a nightmare right now. But I knew this needed to be done. So I'm going to ink this real fast. And I am actually like getting this out to y'all late. I mean, like I said, this has actually been created and sitting on my system for a month or so now, and I have started dropping some of the smaller pieces into the shop, and they are like your decorative pieces that you can use to decorate this journal, or they can be used separately. So some of y'all have started grabbing those, but gratitude is something that we need to have all year round, not just obviously in November. So I created this to have whatever kind of, it's not created in a quote unquote fall themed or a Thanksgiving theme. It's more of a general kind of evergreen theme. So you can use it any time of the year. And right now I am feeling the need to get into this journal myself because I have been feeling very grumbly. And grumbly is always to me an indicator for lack of gratitude, lack of thankfulness. So since that's how I've been feeling, I know that I need to get back into the practice of gratitude. And years ago, I actually created a list of things that I was thankful for, and it was about 1,000, and I think I kept going. It was based off a book that was really popular that now I am like can't think of. But one of the other books that I read, Nancy Lee DeMoss, she wrote, it was called Choosing Gratitude, and it was so good. So I just need to get back into that practice myself. Okay, so this is how the cover will look on the outside, and I want this piece to go right here. Now, you can do this to where this is on top, the spine piece, or the cover pieces are on top. It's up to you. I'm going to have my spine piece go on top, and I need it to overlap these outside pieces by about 1 inch. So I've got my ruler here, and I'm just going to mark on here so that I can see where my 1 inch is. So just doing a tiny little dot there, and then I'm going to do 1 inch. You know what? That's not what that, it's not supposed to overlap here. It's supposed to overlap on this. That's what I need to mark. So I need to do it on this side. See, we're not going to edit out any of this nonsense. I am just, you're going to see me in goofy, raw thinking stage. Okay. So there's that. Now, when I flip this over like this, I'm going to glue this onto here so that the spine is on the outside. And I'm actually using Fabri-Tac for this because it's a very large area, and this doesn't dry super fast, but it does hold really well. It's just very like stringy. That's one thing I don't really care for about it. And over time it does thicken up. I borrowed this bottle from my mom because I couldn't find any at Hobby Lobby the other day. And I'm going to try to get that as straight as I can. Okay, and then I have some really pretty trims for this spine, or wherever I decide to put them. I think I'm going to use them on the spine, but I picked them up the other day, and I'm super excited about those. So I'm going to let that sit for a second. You can see that's what it looks like on the outside. Okay, now I'm going to create the hardboard pieces. So this is the spine for these. This is the hardboard pieces. I want there to be about 1/8 of an inch kind of overlap, and that will allow me to bend these. So I'm just kind of putting this here, and I'm going to bump here, and I'm just, I'm just kind of eyeballing this right here. So I'm going to use this bookbinding tape. It is like a fabric tape. You could also use, I'm feeling this and thinking you could use like a medical tape, any kind of thing that has some fiber in it. It allows it to have some give, but it also is really strong. So I'm cutting about an 18-inch piece. And then I am just leaving, so see how this has a little bit of a space here? All I'm doing is joining this over that space. I'm trying to keep it up off the table. And I'm flipping it around, and then I'm going to bring it down on the other side. And I'm going to do the same here. Okay. I moved that. just taking this down, trying to keep it up off the table, pushing here, and then I'm flipping over. And put that down. Put that down. Okay. Now I'm just taking my ruler, putting this here, and lifting this up. So I'm just going to do this as kind of a guide. And this is going to help make sure that this creases correctly. So that's why I built in that space. Okay. Now I'm going to glue this on to here. And I just kind of want to get it centered as best I can. This does not have to be perfect. All these things are going to come down, so it really doesn't need to be exact on this part. So I can make sure that like the spine itself is not super crooked or something. And to keep that from shifting, I'm going to glue down one side at a time. Another reason I like that Fabri-Tac is it doesn't make your pages like warp and ripple. And now I'm going to fold it. So where I folded it before on just my hardboard pieces, I'm just coming in here and folding this on the outside edge. So now I'm going to come in and fold these up. So I'm first going to kind of crease this so that it doesn't rip my paper. Since this is thick, I'm using cardstock on the actual paper itself, and it's going over the chipboard, which is not a very thick chipboard, but I don't want it to rip my pages. And that can happen if you work your paper too quickly. It can actually break your papers. So I still cannot find my other bone folder. Creasing that now. So I'm just going to work the edges around like that. I'm popping on here to add that I went and creased the combination of the cardboard or the chipboard and the cardstock so that everything would fold really well and kind of be flexible. And then after I folded it multiple times, I laid the signatures on top so that everything would dry in that shape, folded shape. Okay, the next part of this we are working with is the cover inlay, or cover inset or cover inlay, okay? And so what we're going to do here is I am providing you a guide for the punching the holes in this. Okay. I got a new phone, and my phone is not set up now to not go off the video. So it went off the video. Anyway, Okay, so this is our inlay. You can choose whichever one you want for front and back. I think I have. So I've already punched this one, but you're gonna just lay this right over your spine. You can do it on the white side, and then just put your dots in here to punch with your awl like this, okay? And I've already done one here. So you can see I've already punched it. So that's the one we're going to use. This is where we're actually going to sew in the signatures. And I've given you also a signature holes guide for that. So you just lay this over your signatures and you can put your dots in and then punch those also with the awl. You can do 3 or you can do 5. I didn't think about it until after I'd already punched it, and I had punched in 5. So your choice, 3 or 5. I have reformatted this set of devotional pages so that there's not a cover on the front. It will just have a note page there. That's so that you can put it in any order that you want. We know that God's Word does not return void, so it doesn't really matter what order you read it or study it in. Let's just get into it. So this, I'm going to sew these right here. So let me get my needle. I have searched high and low for how to make a cover, and just everybody has their own way of doing it. So I'm going to do 6 lengths here. That's probably overkill. So I'm just holding this up too, and it's going to be a little bit difficult to see, but you can see the holes right there. And I just want to make sure I'm on that first line of signature holes. And I'm going to go in here and in here, this. And I'm going to leave a bit of a tail for tying right here. And then I'm going to come up through here and through here. And you can kind of tighten it up as you go along. It will make everything stay a little straighter if you do, once you get a few stitches in. but you don't want it too tight. You don't want it so tight that it tears or pulls too much. So I'm going to release this now so that I make sure I've got this. And then I'm going to come up through here and fill that hole underneath. And this is pretty sharp, so be careful. On there straight. It's not too tight. It's not too tight here. Could use a little bit of tightening up there. And then I'm going to come back up through this middle hole. And then I'm just going to cut that off and tie it in a knot. So 6 lengths was way too many. I'm going to do 5 next time. The first signature is done. I'm speeding through the second and third signatures here because I do the exact same thing, and I wanted to further explain the pamphlet stitch. So for the pamphlet stitch, all you do is go down through your signature and the spine lining through the third hole. So down through the third hole, up through the first hole, down through the 5th hole, up through the 2nd hole, down through the 4th hole, and back up through the middle hole, and then tie it off and knot it. And that's the pamphlet stitch. So now our signature is sewn onto our spine. And now the next thing we're going to do is we're gluing this into our hard cover. Okay, so we're going to kind of center it. We want it centered here, both vertically and horizontally. And we're just actually going to glue it in to this area. So the best way to see this is these little corners right here and here, they match up with the spine. The spine folds, I guess I should say, pretty well. So as long as we get that in there, we're just going to stick some glue down on our spine. And since the inset doesn't come all the way down to this edge, I'm not putting glue all the way down to the edge. Just making sure that's really good and gooped up. Okay. I'm going to lay this in here. And this is when some glues that don't that allow you to move it around a little bit come in super handy. That is good there. That is good there. I'm just pushing this down here. That is clearly not straight somewhere. I'm not sure where. I'm not sure where, and I'm not sure if I care. So, I just remember the goal. Have a workable book. Something that closes, something you can write in, has some structure to it. After that, it honestly doesn't matter. Okay. So we do. You could use, instead of chipboard, you could also use cereal boxes. That's a big thing. So what I'm going to do is I want it to dry like this. This will all like crease up over time. Where's my ruler? There's my ruler. So I can, I'm shaking everything here. I probably needed to come out a little bit, but okay, there we go. Now let's add some pretties to it. Okay, so this is the part, you'll get this with the kit. You can choose one of these covers to go on the front, the back, wherever you want. I really like this one. I also like this one. I really like all of them, which is why I created them. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my leftover cards for something on the inside, but I'm going to use this one for the outside. And this has like a paper lace, like an actual authentic vintage paper like inset right here. And then let me show you the trims that I got. I'm super excited about, although I do not know exactly how many is on here. Okay, so I got this really pretty, kind of a golden bronzy kind of lace. I got this that has these like beads. Can you see that? Let's see if I can get that in focus. It's got like little tiny seed beads and sequins. And then I got this lace that is a lot simpler. So let me think about how I want to do this. Okay, I'm speeding through this because all I did was glue a cover on the front and a cover on the back. On top of the cover, these are just cover options that come with the kit. And then I'm going to glue on my trims. So I go through the process of trying to decide where I want them, positioning them in different ways. I play with the idea of doing a belly band, which I may go back and do later. But then ultimately I decided to just put 2 of the trims on the spine and cut them off straight at the edge to kind of create a little bit of a frayed edge look, which I think is very junk journal-y, and I really love the way that it turned out. Okay, so there is my completed junk journal cover. You could, if you don't have chipboard, you can use cereal boxes. You could use a couple of layers of cardstock stacked up on top of each other. You could use a thicker chipboard than this. The idea is just to create kind of a hard book for your journal. I have a journal that my friend Linda from Casey Creations, she made, and hers is very thick. So it's thicker than this. Anyhow, the pieces to the cover the base, cover base, and the cover inlay, those are going to be in the freebie cupboard for you. You can go check them out at the link below, sign up, and then get your key to the cupboard. And then this is your cover. So follow along as I create it. And then